Hi friends, it's Helga here. Welcome back to my creative corner. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful beaded frog that you can use as a cute charm for your bag or your keys. This little frog is incredibly adorable, stylish, and just listen to how it crinkles. It is the perfect satisfying anti-stress fidget toy. For our frog today, I will be using 4mm rondelle beads. We will need the main green color, a darker green for the eyes and the legs, a soft beige for the belly, 4 black beads, and 2 red beads. We will also be using a clear fishing line with a diameter of 0.25 millimeter. To start, I am cutting about 57 inches of our fishing line. First, I string 6 of our main green beads onto the line. Then I take the opposite end of the line and pass it through the very last bead in the reverse direction to cross them. Bring the two ends of the fishing line together and pull it tight right to the middle of our cut segment. Let's begin the first row. On the left side of the line, I string 1 green, 2 black, and 1 green bead. Then take the right end of the line and pass it through that last green bead in the opposite direction. Pull it tight and then insert the lower line to the right side, weaving it through the closest bead along our initial circle. Next, add 3 green beads to the left side and pass the right end of the line through the outermost bead in the opposite direction. Now, let's create the first eye. On one side of the line, string 3 dark green beads, and on the other side, string 2 dark green beads. Take the end of the line that holds the 2 beads and pass it through the 3rd dark green bead on the other side in the reverse direction. Next, pass that same line through 1 black bead in the opposite direction. Carefully tuck this black bead inside the dark green ones. Make sure it sits right in the front, facing toward the 2 black beads, and then pass the line through the light green bead at the base, also in the opposite direction. Now take the right line and insert it further into the next closest bead along our main circle. Moving on, string 3 green beads on the left side and pass the right end through the last bead in the opposite direction. Pull it tight and weave the line into the next closest bead in the circle. Once more, string 3 green beads on the left side. Pass the right end through the outermost bead in the opposite direction, pull it tight and weave it into the closest bead of our circle. Again, string 3 green beads on the left side and pass the right end through the last bead in the opposite direction. Time for the second eye. On one side of the line, string 3 dark green beads, and on the other side, string 2 dark green beads. Take the end of the line with the 2 beads and pass it through the 3rd bead on the opposite side. Then, pass it through 1 black bead in the opposite direction. Tuck it neatly inside the dark green beads so it matches the position of the first eye, facing forward toward the nose. Pass the line through the light green bead at the base in the opposite direction as well. Now take the end of the line that is closer to the 2 black beads and insert it further into the next closest green bead, plus 1 more green bead that is already right next to the frog's nose. On this end of the line near the eye, string 2 green beads and pass the other end of the line through the outermost bead in the opposite direction. And there we go! Our very first row is finished, with the cute little nose and 2 eyes sitting right in front. Let's start the second row, which is going to be much easier. Hold your piece exactly the way I am holding mine, with the eyes facing downward and the 2 black beads positioned to the right. In this exact position, string 1 red bead and 2 green beads onto the left line. Pass the right end through the last bead in the opposite direction. Pull it tight and then insert the lower line further into the next closest bead along the circle. Next, string 2 green beads onto the left side and pass the right end through the outermost bead in the opposite direction. Once you've pulled it tight, insert the lower line into the closest bead from our previous row. Let's do that one more time. String 2 green beads on the left side, pass the right end through the last bead in the opposite direction. Pull it tight and insert the lower line into the closest bead of the previous row. Now string 1 green bead and 1 red bead on the left side and cross the lines directly through the red bead. After tightening it, insert the lower line into the next closest bead of the previous row. From here we are going to add 2 green beads 7 times in a row. You will simply repeat these exact steps until you reach the very end of this second row. At the end of the second row, pass your line through 1 green bead plus 1 more red bead. Then, cross the lines through 1 green bead. Our second row is officially done. Keep holding the beadwork exactly the way I am, and let's begin the third row. On the left side, string 3 green beads and pass the other end through the last bead in the opposite direction. Once it is pulled tight, insert the line into the closest bead of the previous row. Now we add 2 beige beads. Then another 2 beige beads. And another 2 beige beads. Next, add 1 beige bead and 1 green bead. To finish out the rest of the third row, we will weave in 2 green beads 6 times in total. At the very end of the third row, pass your line through 2 green beads. Now cross the lines through 1 green bead. The third row of our frog is complete. Let's jump right into the fourth row. On the line that runs toward the frog's back, string 3 green beads and pass the other end through the outermost bead in the opposite direction. After tightening it, pass the line into the closest bead of our previous row. Next, add 2 green beads. Now we are going to add 2 beige beads 3 times in a row. Then add 1 beige bead and 1 green bead. To finish the rest of the fourth row, add 2 green beads 5 times total. At the end of the fourth row, pass the line through 2 green beads. Add 1 green bead and cross your lines right through it. Once you've tightened it up, take the right end of the line and pass it through 1 more green bead going in the direction of the frog's belly. This is exactly what it looks like at this stage. We are down to our very last row, row number 5. On the side facing the frog's back, string 3 green beads and pass the line through the last bead in the opposite direction. Insert the lower line into 1 green bead from the previous row. Right here, we add 2 dark green beads and insert that exact same end of the line back into the green bead at the base. This forms our frog's front leg. Make sure it points forward. Next, pass the line into 1 beige bead. On the left line, string 2 green beads and cross the lines through the last bead. Insert the lower line into 2 beige beads. String 2 green beads on the left line and cross through the outermost bead. Now, insert the lower line into 1 beige bead and 1 green bead. Right here, add 2 dark green beads and insert the line back into the green bead at the base. This gives us our second front leg. On the left line, string 2 green beads and cross through the last bead. Insert the lower line into 2 green beads of the previous row. Now, to help our little frog hold its shape perfectly, I highly recommend stuffing it. I am just using a tiny piece of a regular plastic bag. Let's finish up the row. String 2 green beads on the left line and cross through the last bead. Insert the lower line through 3 green beads. Finally, cross the lines through 1 single green bead. To secure everything tightly, weave the remaining line through 5 beads in a circle. Tie 2 or 3 secure knots and trim off any excess line. All that is left to do is attach your keychain hardware, and your adorable frog is completely finished. Give this video a thumbs up if you loved it, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video.